Even when appraising EVs, I don't know if you guys have this issue.
Yeah, we do.
But it's you're like, yeah, that is a huge issue.
Yeah. 2 seconds later, she had her bare feet on my desk.
One that my mom brings up all the time is how you were my hairdresser during that time.
Yeah.
It's like the big leagues. Like you have to be really dialed in at that point.
We had a $400,000 car get stolen. That really got my stress level up.
Inside is like, I hate when people say spaceship.
Yeah.
It was a spaceship. Like it was crazy. Everything's digital, lights.
Right. What do you think I'm gonna say?
I think it's the same as mine.
Yeah.
Okay, so today we're back with another podcast style video. I still think I'm gonna call it Coffee with Dustin, but we'll see about that later. And today we're with Sean Boss from our Performance Mercedes store. Sean has a lot of experience in the industry, and I think it's gonna be great to talk about the two brands, Mercedes and Lexus, and some of the other ones. But I'll let him introduce himself and tell us who he is.
Yeah. So as you know, my name is Sean. I'm from Performance Mercedes-Benz. I've been with the Performance Auto Group since 2005, different roles. I started off as a salesperson for Mini, then sort of moved around in positions there. I worked at BMW for a couple of years, then moved up to a management role. I also was a general sales manager for our Acura store. Came back to BMW, and then after BMW was GSM at BMW for a little bit, and then I came over to Lexus and Toyota and worked with Dustin here for a little while, and then I got a role over at Mercedes as a GM back in 2020.
Nice. And I think we'll dig into some of the time we've spent together in this building because there was some fun times during COVID.
For sure.
During
Oh
that.
yeah, COVID.
But we'll start off by saying there's some big news in our industry as of yesterday. So that was the iZEV rebate. So for those of you that don't know, Ontario had a rebate for plug-in vehicles under a certain price point. I think under $65,000.
Yeah.
And sort of out of nowhere, close to out of nowhere.
Yeah.
They pulled the program entirely.
Yes, exactly.
So do you think that's going to shake up the industry, or what are your thoughts?
Absolutely. I think first of all, the reason why I would shake it up because it was sort of unexpected. I know the government mentioned they're winding it down towards the end of March, but to pull the plug, for me at Mercedes, it doesn't really affect us that much. There's only one model that it affects is the EQB. We have two engine sizes on it, or electric engine sizes on it, in an all-wheel drive model, which qualified for the 5,000. But I think the bigger impact is going to be maybe for Toyota.
Yeah.
Of course, for Hyundai, they have a lot of aggressively priced full electric vehicles. And I think there's a little bit on Volkswagen side. I was talking to the GM this morning with some concerns about that on the Volkswagen side as well.
I don't know if it's just because I'm an optimist, but I do think there is going to be a benefit for this. And particularly, one of the things I was thinking about was used EVs just depreciate so quickly.
Yes.
And I always knew that with certain brands that have high incentives on new cars, it seems like used cars are always cheaper. Like I'll use Hyundai as an example. They always have 0% for like 5 or 6 years. And because of that, used are always really depreciated because you can buy a new one for 0%.
Correct.
And I looked at that with the EVs was, the Nissan Leaf was one that came up on Doug DeMiro was like talking about it. He's like, what's the bottom of like, the price of a Nissan Leaf? Like, where's the floor? And they're like, there is no floor. Like, it could be $0 used in the market because the rebates are so strong on them.
Yeah.
So maybe the silver lining here will be retained EV value. But to your point, I mean, even on the Lexus side, we just had pretty much one model, the NX plug-in, that would fit with that.
Yeah.
And that doesn't necessarily mean it'll affect the used value of like an RX plug-in or the RZ, for instance. But it will be interesting. What do you think is going to happen with EVs this year?
I know from my side, on the Mercedes side, is we've really cut a lot of our allocation for the EQ lineup.
Yeah.
So there's not going to be that many EQs into the market. Whereas we look back to 2024, the main focus for Mercedes was we want you guys to sell about 30% of your retail to be full battery.
To be full battery.
Yeah, battery electric.
So not even hybrid, like full electric.
Full battery. We didn't really have a hybrid at that point. But in saying that, we've had a massive push for electric or EQ. If I say that word too much, it's just an automatic reaction for me, but that's what our branding is. But we've had a strong sale towards the end of the year. This year, it's starting to sell a little slower.
Okay.
But with anything, it's going to pick back up again.
Yeah.
I think the values of EQ or electric are on the lowest levels right now. But I think as we move into our spring market and the demand will start picking up, I think the residual values or the resale values will start to pop up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because even when appraising EVs, I don't know if you guys have this issue.
Yeah, we do.
But it's you're like, yeah, that is a huge issue.
Yeah, yeah.
It's kind of hard. Like the way we were taught to appraise cars is not really conducive to EVs. Like, yes, the tires and the brakes, but like for me to know the battery life on one of these things and how many charges it's had.
Yeah.
And I heard that they're coming out with tools for dealers to be able to like measure that. So if someone's trading a Tesla, you can see how many charges and depletions that battery has had, which I think should help trade values. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, the Tesla model, I know if you do an appraisal on it, you can go into one of the subscreens and you can see what the battery.
Oh, that's right. It shows it right on the car.
Whereas in the Benz world, you have to get a technician to look at
Yes.
it. And they don't actually give you a value. They test each cell depending on how much electricity they'll retain.
Yeah.
So it's pretty slick, but yeah,
there's
it's a little bit of concern.
Yeah, of course. But I think the Mercedes approach to EVs is really cool. I saw that commercial with will.i.am, I think. Who's the music producer?
Yeah, that's an older one, but yeah.
It was so cool because it looked like, and I might be misreading this, but it looked like Mercedes took the approach of like, okay, what other experience can we incorporate now? Because it was like when he was turning and accelerating, it was like pleasurable to listen to the car and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Is that the case?
Yeah. Well, with the EQ lineup or Mercedes powered by electric, there's different settings on the interior of the car. You can change the sound, like more of a light sound, like sort of like comforting, or you can have more like if you have an AMG model or even other models on like higher level, you can get more of a throaty or exhaust note. So you can have that inside the vehicle as well as the outside of the vehicle as well.
And can you have nothing?
Yes.
So which one do you like?
Usually nothing.
You have nothing. Okay, that's cool. Yeah, that's interesting. What's been your because also the G-Wagon is EV now too, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So G-Wagon, S-Class, B-Class.
Yeah, and then and also the GLE version. So we have an EQE, and then we also have an E-Class version, which is the EQE sedan.
And have you spent time with all those?
Yes, I had a EQE SUV.
Okay.
This might get a little confusing because I'm going to rattle off a number of letters.
Yeah.
But EQE SUV, which is our GLE variant of electric. I had one of those as a demo for a little bit. I also had the EQE sedan.
Okay.
So it's like our E-Class electric variant.
Yeah.
The EQB, which is the GLB version. I've had one of those as a demonstrator. And also like the flagship, the EQS sedan.
Yeah.
Electric. We had one as a demonstrator. Actually, one of our owners had it for a demo as well.
Did you still have it or no?
No, we sold it.
I was gonna ask to drive it. I was like, can I take that home?
Yeah. So, but yeah, across the lineup, which one would be my favorite? Probably be the EQS. But the EQE SUV is very nice. You sit like nice, not too high, but very in a right position to see like a lot of stuff. And yeah, it's a wonderful driving vehicle. Like I'm a big pusher of electric.
Yeah.
I love electric.
Okay.
But it's just society nowadays it's not grabbing the way it should. And I'm not going to blame anybody, the media, but there's a little bit of mixed messaging in regards to what electric can do.
Yeah.
So
did you ever see the documentary Who Killed the Electric Car?
Way back.
Isn't that crazy? And like, I don't know. I'm not a conspiracy person, but like, I don't know. Like,
it's telling truth. I don't know.
It is.
They keep trying, and then somebody puts it down.
I'm a big car guy. Like, I like V8s. I like old turbos. I like stuff like that. But when I started to switch my mindset with EVs, as it's a different experience. Like one of the guys at Lexus was teaching us that like when you spend time in these EVs, you realize that even music sounds different because you don't have the frequencies coming off the engine, like the vibrations, stuff like that. So when you start to like retrain your brain of what a driving experience is, then EVs like is a clear winner on some of those fronts. But I'm glad to hear that you're big on it because one of the feedback that I heard across the industry was another reason why Canadians didn't buy as many EVs was also because the dealers weren't enthusiastic about it.
Yeah.
So like they would go into the dealer and the salesperson was like, "Ugh, you're looking at our EV model," and then the consumer was like, even if they're in the bell curve, they were like, I don't know if I want it now."
Yeah, that rings true.
Yeah,
I agree with that. But I think that shift has been made.
Yeah.
3 of my sales associates drive electric cars.
Yeah.
Like my top guy, he's had 3 of them. Yeah, EQB, EQS, EQE. Same with another sales rep. He had the EQS SUV.
Okay.
Now he's driving the EQB. So they're really well versed. And oddly enough, the other day, we have our level 3 charger up and running, and he couldn't get over how quickly it charged.
How quickly is it?
He was at 25% battery left, and it got him up to about 100% in 20 minutes.
No way.
And it's not the best, like it's not the most powerful.
Yeah.
It averages around 40 to 45 kilowatts an hour.
Okay.
But there's some chargers out there that can claim they push out to 150.
Dang.
So depending on what the car can handle, it'll vary charging times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think with more of that, it'll like we know that's going to lead to more people buying into the EV. It's just kind of like an odd time and place.
Yeah. Exactly.
For us, like hybrids have been strong.
Yes.
Well,
in your world.
Yeah, in our world.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But we do have our first RZ coming out. So we're going to spend some time with that from June to the end of the year, and then start selling them next year, which would be kind of cool.
Yeah.
I'm excited for that.
Yeah. No, that's definitely the way to go.
Yeah.
For those who are on the fence, do I go full battery electric? Do I stick with my ICE car, my gas car, or do I dabble with the hybrid?
Yeah.
So the nice thing about us on the Mercedes world, we have a GLE plug-in hybrid. It's a GLE 450E. So it has a 4-cylinder turbo engine, as well as the battery and the electric engine.
What is that pushing out?
In terms of
like horsepower,
I don't have the numbers top of my head.
It's got to be fast though. With those
it's okay.
Okay.
It gives you a little bit of boost to get to the battery. Like it's comparable to our 6-cylinder 450. But the cool thing about it is the range. So on battery mode, you can get on a good day in the summertime about 91 kilometers.
Huh.
Yeah. So for me, living in Fond Hill, I would drive to and from home to work, and I would charge at work. Yeah. Or if I'm stuck, I have a home charger or charge at home.
And then if you have to stop somewhere on your way home, you have the gas engine.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's like our NX plug-in, RX plug-in, same idea. Best of both worlds. I was talking to one of my favorite guests today, Joseph, and he's a big Porsche guy. Yeah. And he was talking about the new Porsche with the hybrid. Okay. And the driving experience with that. Like at first everybody's like, oh, a hybrid Porsche. That's like against the morals of these purists.
Especially on Porsche.
Yeah. And he said the driving experience is amazing because what you described, that electric motors spooling up the rest of the powertrain to be like a very linear all the time power, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, it is 100%.
Okay, so let's talk about the industry a little bit.
Okay.
So with your experience, and this is like a curveball question.
Okay.
If someone was looking to get into the industry, what is some advice you would give them? Let's talk car sales in particular.
Like strictly car sales?
Strictly car sales.
Okay. Well, first of all, I would, if I was looking to get in this business, I would do some mystery shopping.
Okay.
Like it may sound a little weird, but I would want to see how the process would be or what it's like to be a salesperson. Like if I'm young, I haven't bought my first car. The first car I've got was a hand-me-down from my brother or an aunt or an uncle or a grandparent. Yeah. I would walk into a store and see what it's all about. Okay. I would ask pointed questions to the sales staff, all that kind of stuff, just to get a sense of it, of what it's like. Okay. And then if I enjoyed it and I'm like, I think I can do this. Okay. I would, obviously you gotta get your OnVic first, but I would look more at the high volume brands before I would jump straight to, you know what, I want to be a BMW guy, I want to be a Mercedes guy or a Lexus or an Audi. I would get my feet wet in the volume brands for sure.
I second that because I find like I started with a volume brand, you had experience with volume brands, and it just gave me more chances at the bat, like more swings at the bat. 100%. And I got used to like the objections and how to prospect. And it's not like it was like when it didn't matter most, but it's still like the expectation from the consumer buyer I find is lower. And then getting into Lexus and to your experience with luxury, it's like the big leagues. Like you have to be really dialed in at that point.
Yeah, but a lot of our business is done over the phone and by email. So on the luxury side, because you don't get a lot of walk-in traffic.
True, yeah.
So I think it's a good quality to learn is when you're talking to people face to face, you can be more engaged. You can sort of get a sense of body language. You can see if they're interested or not. It's really hard to do that on the phone or via email. A lot of that stuff can get mixed up in interpretation. So, but if you can really hone that craft, you can get a sense when you're talking to somebody on the phone, like the pitch of their voice, like are they interested or they're not, and all that kind of stuff. So I think the more you do it in person, which you won't really have a lot of experience or a lot of chances to do on the luxury side, to hone that craft would be definitely on the volume side for sure.
It is interesting the hats you have to wear, like having the difference between an in-person interaction, over the phone interaction, and then the hat of typing an email that's showing value, a luxury approach, being interested, not interested, not interesting. There is so many hats to wear when doing something like that, I find.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, okay, we'll keep this rolling with brands.
Yeah.
So you've worked with Acura, BMW, Mercedes, Lexus, Toyota.
Correct.
Mini. Any other ones? No. Is there any brands you want to work for eventually that you haven't
again?
Yet? Yeah. No. Like
I haven't done.
Yeah, that's new. Like one that you're interested in. If Performance Auto Group bought the brand, we'll put it that way.
What do you think I'm going to say?
I think it's the same as mine.
Yeah, it'd be Porsche.
It'd be Porsche.
It'd be Porsche, 100%.
What would attract you to that?
It's just the iconic brand.
Yeah.
The individuals that you would work with. The whole customization aspect of the vehicle. I really experienced that when I was with Mini because Mini is an off-the-wall brand.
Yeah.
Two-tone cars, different color roof, different color body, interiors, all that kind of stuff. When Mini first came out, you can customize everything to fabric. But as they became a little bit more mainstream, it was more like, okay, this is your premium package, this is your classic package, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
But as Porsche, like it's a representation of yourself.
Yeah.
So like if I were to order my Porsche, I would know what color I would want, what wheels I would want, all that other kind of stuff. And I think there's a lot of people that think that way.
Yeah. I already have mine picked out too. Like I'm like saving for it right now.
Yeah.
And it's a couple years away, but it's interesting when it comes to cars. Like I'm pretty emotionally attached to the cars that I love. And not everybody's like that. Like I had Mark in here and he doesn't really have that. Like he doesn't have that attraction to it. And they say that there's that quote that's like, there's, the day someone decides they want to buy a Porsche and then the decade or two that goes on before they actually get it. And like, I don't know when I'll get my 911 Turbo S, but I know I want it at some point. It doesn't matter what brand I work for.
I get it.
So that's interesting. What would be your spec?
I'd probably do a Targa.
A Targa? What color?
Green.
A green Targa. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Manual, of course.
Manual, yes.
Yeah. Black wheels.
Nice.
Yeah. Nothing too crazy off the wall. Just subtle.
Yeah.
Very subtle. Yeah.
That's cool. Well, I hope you get it.
Yeah. Because we had a Targa in as a trade. I think I brought it over.
I saw it. Yeah. I saw it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was an older one, right?
It was an older one. Yeah. It was 2005.
Black on red.
No, it's black.
Black. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it was the older style Targa.
That's
stick.
cool.
It was a little creaky, a little rattly, but still, I loved it. Too bad I have 4 kids.
Yeah.
So I gotta
it's hard to fit
their
them,
future instead of myself.
and also fit them all in it plus your wife. I mean, that'd be tight in a
just
Targa.
a little tight.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's cool. Okay, so did you know? So when you were at Mini, do you know you were a big reason I got into the industry?
Really?
Yeah, you have no idea about the story.
No.
So it's really cool. So I was getting into the industry already. Like I wanted to be in it, and a family friend of mine at the time always bought their cars from you. And I started working for a GM dealership just because I couldn't get into here. I wanted to come into Performance Toyota. And at the time they weren't hiring people off the street. Like you had to have a little bit of experience.
Right.
So I ended up just going across the street, got a job there. And a family friend of mine, like right away, like grabbed me by the shoulders and was like, if you're gonna look up to anyone, it's this guy.
Really?
And they gave me your email and I reached out to you.
Yeah.
I tried to find the email chain, but it was from an old email address.
Hilarious.
And you were at Mini. You were like the Mini guy.
Yeah.
That was when you were doing all the Ice Dog stuff with Mini. Like, I don't know if you were already a GSM at that time. It was like 2014, 2015?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay. So you were just a Mini guy at that point.
Yeah.
Okay. And I reached out and you responded and were like, come by anytime and we'll talk. And then I think you must have left right after that. What year did you leave Mini? Or did you stay there?
No, I probably went back to BMW.
Okay.
2014,
2015.
Yeah, it was either I was flopping back and forth.
Gotcha.
Probably I sat over at BMW at the time, and that's when Steve San Angelo took over.
Oh, okay.
I think, I'm all mixed up with timing. But
yeah, it's all a blur to me too.
Yeah.
But anyway, the point was, and they told me the story of the interaction with you over the years. They had so many minis from you, I think, like every couple of years.
Okay.
And they were like, this is the guy you want to be like.
Yeah.
And then we didn't connect, so I just kind of like forgot about you.
Yeah.
And then you walked in here one day because you were our new GSM for the store. And then you were here for 2 years, I think.
Yeah, just over.
Yeah. And that was a crazy time because the COVID thing. I remember I told it in the last podcast. We were sitting in here the day that we had to go down and send everybody home. It was the craziest thing ever.
So weird.
And then you, me, Mark.
Yes.
And then the service departments were here, just 1 or 2 people.
Yep.
And it was like every day, it was like
3 of us.
Yeah, just 3 of us.
Front, yeah.
And you were sitting way over here, and I was sitting way over there.
Yeah.
And any e-lead that came in, any phone up, any licensing, detailing was just on us.
Yeah.
That was so crazy.
The license bureau runs all the way to Fond Hill.
Yeah.
Fond Hill was the only one that was open.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I remember if we did sell a couple cars then because we were essential and you could do it. You just had to be creative.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking like how much work it was. Like if you sold a car, it was like, okay, now I got to do the paperwork, the licensing, clean the car,
funding,
all that stuff. It was so crazy.
Yeah, it was crazy.
And Mark was our receptionist.
Yeah.
So he was our general manager, was at reception picking up every phone call.
Funny enough, you say that.
Yeah.
I have a picture. Remember I was showing you pictures today of me with a mask on and a headset.
Oh, get out.
Yeah.
Oh, because you were sitting at reception.
Sitting at the reception.
Okay.
Yeah.
One that my mom brings up all the time is how you were my hairdresser during that time. Because everybody like would go home to their wives and get their haircuts from their wives.
Yeah.
And I was a single guy, and I was like, well, who do I trust the most to not screw me over with a bad haircut?
Yeah.
And it was you. And then we would put a garbage bag on me and sit right in the Lexus showroom and cut my hair. And there's like, I would say we probably did it a couple times because I had a few pictures and my whole family thought it was like the coolest thing that you were like, all right, Dustin.
That's too funny.
You brought in the little set, or Mike gave us a set or something.
Yeah,
like
I know.
that.
I had my own set because Lisa, my wife, was cutting my own hair.
Who's cutting your hair, yeah. That was crazy times, man. But I think it definitely transformed our industry a little bit in 2 ways. I think for me, it got me really good at that digital piece and engaging digitally. And then when the doors opened, talk about a turning point. Like we didn't know how things were going to go back. And then we realized that people had like a thirst for human interaction again.
Yeah,
and then we had like the best car sales year of our lives.
Yeah.
Right?
We did.
That was wild. What is other than the COVID thing, what is like the craziest story you have from car dealerships?
Oof.
That you can talk about? I need to preface that. That's
I have a handful.
Okay.
Like people interactions or meeting famous people.
Oh, that's cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Who did you meet that was famous?
I don't know if you remember the show, The OC.
Yeah.
I sold a Mini to the mother. I can't remember her name.
Oh, no way.
Her name.
She's Canadian?
Yeah. Well, she married a Canadian. She married one of the Thompson sons, like from the original Thompson.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I did a delivery at her house.
Yeah.
Yeah. She rolls out in a house coat, and I was still pretty young, and I was getting all flushed in the face.
Oh,
like, it's really special. But
That's cool.
So that's probably my most famous person interaction. I also had an interesting interaction here at Toyota when I had a young lady barge into my office and talk about her life story. And then, 2 seconds later, she had her bare feet on my desk.
Oh,
yeah.
good.
Talking just like she owned the place.
So she's just sitting in front
laid
of
back.
Took her shoes off?
Took her shoes off. Feet on my desk. And I can't remember what we're talking about. One of the sales associates took a picture.
Oh, really? Yeah.
It was great. Great experience.
Interesting. And did you acknowledge the feet on your desk?
No, I didn't want to.
to.
No, I want to sort of end that conversation.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to give her any more topics to discuss.
See. Yeah.
So I was like, oh, cool. Yeah. Just
do you ever
listen to what she said and on her own.
And then you just kind of stood up and said, thanks for coming.
Yeah. My phone's ringing.
Yeah.
I get out of here.
It is funny the amount of people, the interesting amount of people we meet, or the amount of interesting people we meet. Yep. It is kind of like you're dealing with the general public. So it's a wild card at any given time. I think it makes you good at dealing with people though.
Yes. Yeah.
Like transferable skill.
Yeah. You definitely have to have that skill. Like dealing with situations that just pop up out of nowhere. You never really know what you're going to run into. But yeah, like that's probably the most fun about this industry. Is that you don't know what you're going into any single day. You don't know who's on the other end of that phone call, especially in a leadership role. Like, what problem am I going to solve today?
Yeah.
So it's pretty sweet. Yeah.
Do you find as you are in a leadership role, especially the general manager position, do you find do you still get stressed out about those situations, or do you find they roll a little bit more like with experience?
They definitely roll a little bit more.
Okay.
Whenever you're going through a first experience, it's always a little more.
Yeah.
Well, obviously very anxious. We had an experience where we were a victim of fraud.
Yeah.
We had a $400,000 car get stolen because a bunch of individuals impersonated a dealership.
Wow.
And brought us a bunk bank draft.
Yeah.
And walked away with in my block.
Crazy.
So that really got my stress level up.
Yeah.
But as you work through it, you get involved with the police department, you get detectives and all that kind of stuff. We ended up finding the vehicle. We sold it again. Full disclosure on what it went through.
Yeah,
but
of course.
Yeah, that was probably the biggest stress point I've gone through.
No way.
On top of even dealing with employee issues, customers, interpersonal stuff like that. But yeah, because it's never experienced it before.
Yeah.
Never thought it won't ever happen to me, but fraud is just rampant right now.
It's crazy how much there is, and dealers don't I find we don't talk about it enough. With PAG, at least because we have so many dealerships, we can learn from these experiences. You had that happen to you, immediately all of the other stores learned keep an eye for this.
Yeah, exactly.
And we get those emails, and I think that helps with our horsepower. But general scheme of things, I mean, every year there's something new.
Yeah.
There's something new to be stressed about or that's threatening to our industry or our business.
Yep.
And fraud is a big one.
Yep.
I think I have trust issues with a lot of consumers.
You do.
If a young kid comes in looking to spend $100,000 on a family SUV, even though you don't want to be discriminatory, I just assume it's a straw buyer, and it's hard to approach that. I used to be really stressed about approaching it. Now I can handle a lot better. There's certain ways to do it, but it's just come on, I heard there used to be a time you could just sell cars and not have to worry about any of that stuff. But
it's not like that anymore.
It's not like that anymore at all.
No. But yeah, you're bang on when it comes down to it. It takes time. It takes experience. I've been in the GM role for 4 years now, but I got a ton to learn. Yeah. But the nice thing about being part of a big dealer group is I have a phenomenal regional manager. I work with you guys met Mark in the last podcast. Yeah. He's been it's been good to me. He's taught me a lot because I worked under him when I was here at the Toyota and Lexus. And all the other guys across the group, they've been around the business a lot. They've any experience that I'm new to. They've gone through it to some extent. So it's just good to have that network.
And they're pretty supportive. I feel like I can call anybody and be like, hey, I'm dealing with this issue. To your point, our regional manager, Mike, I've called him with a few random things that I'm like, hey, I'm dealing with this. And he's like, okay, let's talk about it, figure it out. So I think that horsepower of the group is a little underrated. People don't even realize how much easier it makes working for a dealer group like this.
100%.
Especially you, he's in your building. So if you ever need him, he's there. And now you have a friend going up into a GM role, and you're right next door to that, so you can be there to support it.
Exactly.
Do you wish you took on the GM role earlier? Or?
No. There's times where I wanted to.
Yeah.
But I knew I wouldn't be ready. Well, maybe ready's not the right word, but it just probably wasn't the right timing. Yeah. I think just the way everything worked out, getting different experiences, being so entrenched with BMW and Mini for so long. Yeah. And I know, I worked at Acura, but it was very short. But then to move to Toyota, Lexus and get that volume experience, it was a really good experience. Yeah. And then sort of helped me prep and dealing with more people. Yeah. When you're at a luxury brand, you probably have maybe 5 to 8 sales staff. But when you're in a volume, you're dealing with 12 on the new car side, 6 on the used car side. A lot more issues to deal with as a general sales manager, or not issues, concerns, but it was timing. It was right. And I wouldn't have changed anything.
And that's what people always ask me, when do you want to move up in your role? And I want to make sure I do the process right personally, enjoy the current position I'm in. Yeah. And learn as much as I can, so that when I am ready or when the opportunity presents itself, I am ready. Because I know this is the industry I'm going to be in. Right. I'm not going anywhere. So why race to the finish line when I can just enjoy the race? You know what I mean?
Yeah. But there's always going to be that point where you think you're ready. Yeah. But then the opportunity comes and you're like, oh crap,
Yeah.
I'm not ready for
Yeah.
this. But if you have that feeling, then you know you're at the right spot.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Okay, so do you have any predictions for 2025 industry-wide? Like I know our BMW store had a huge end to their year.
Yep.
Kudos to them. They did a really good job. What do you suspect happens this year industry-wide? Any big things?
I think it'd be a little better than 2024. I think the increase in sales rate, it's hard to say because if you look at certain brands, they had a good year last year.
Yeah.
Some brands like Mercedes wasn't a stellar year. So, but knowing the brand being so immersed in it, we're projected to have a better year in 2025. Better inventory, better amounts of cars that sell easily, like the GLC, CLA, stuff like that. So, but I'm optimistic. Confidently optimistic that 25 will be a better year for sure.
I think there's been some movers and shakers. Like, did you see the rebranding of Jaguar?
Yeah,
that was crazy. I was like, of all the things going on, what a bold move by them. It's almost like the best way I can describe it. It kind of looks like a designer brand now.
Yeah,
like it looks like a luxury designer brand. So that'll be interesting to see what happens there. Genesis has done a really good job of sort of launching in there. I know we toured our new Genesis store together, and like that building is really cool.
Yeah, it's pretty slick.
Yeah, and that's definitely an up and coming brand.
Yeah,
I think Mercedes, as I said to you, like there's a few Mercedes that do give me that like emotional feeling. I love the S-Class and the G-Wagon. I think what they've done with those two cars, and by what they've done, I mean like what they've continued to do. Like it's like they've just always been those pinnacle cars. I haven't seen the new. What's the big redesign for this year? Is it the GLC? Is that going to be the most exciting?
Not really. There's no major redesigns of any model that's coming up this year. There's the introduction of the new GT is out. I don't know if you saw that. We've had that for a little bit since the summer. That's a pretty slick car.
Have you driven it or no?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What's it like?
It's the closest thing I would feel to probably a road legal race car.
No way.
I had the opportunity in the spring of last year to go to Germany and go to their test track in Singlefin. And rip it around on like almost a 45-degree bank.
No way.
Stuff like that. Yeah. Glenn, our owner, was with me. But, it's a phenomenal car. Moving down the road, like we have this new CLE 53 in a convertible that's coming out. That's a really nice car.
Is that a 4-cylinder hybrid?
No,
Turbo?
it's a 6.
They're still doing a 6. Okay, cool.
Yeah. So that replaces the E Coupe and the C Coupe. So they combined the two, had the CLE model. So we have it in a coupe and in a convertible. We had a coupe version come out and it sold within 2 weeks.
No way.
It's best bang for your buck. It's a phenomenal car. I heard they're bringing back the E-Wagon, the E53 wagon.
No way.
So that'd be nice. That's probably one of my favorite in the lineup. And then like we have the GLC 350E, which is our plug-in GLC. That'll give you a range of about 91 kilometers on full electric, plus with a gas engine. So that is out. We delivered one in December. We have some more inventory rolling in. So it's more focused on the plug-in hybrids. The biggest thing we probably won't see this year, coming in next year, is the new CLA. It's on a new platform that you can interchange it to be gas engine, hybrid, or full electric.
That's
and the
cool.
car will look the same.
That's cool.
So you can basically pick your power plant.
Wow.
So we see that coming, and then that will evolve to the same platform as the GLB CLA. So we're still really focused on electric. We slowed down our focus on putting cars in the market, but the end goal is still probably 100% electric.
It's the brand is too powerful to have this anything more than a blip on the radar. But you said something there that really struck a chord with me. We were just talking about like rushing to a GM role and how I don't want to do that, but going to Germany to race a car around a track. Like how do I get that now? Like, you know what I mean? And I know earlier you talked about in your journey with some of these brands, there has been some cool experiences like that. You went to South Africa with Mini. You went to Germany with Mercedes.
With Mercedes, BMW.
You've been to Germany? Okay.
To Frankfurt with BMW and
that's cool.
Stuttgart.
Okay. Yeah. That's like the automotive hub for
Germany. Yeah. Tour the Mercedes Museum in Stuttgart.
Cool.
But yeah, that was a cool experience. And then with Mini, I went to the UK as well. So yeah, I've traveled pretty cool places with brands.
With brands, it's definitely a dream of mine because I like to travel and I love automotive so much that I just nerd out over it. Like I went to Italy with my girlfriend a couple months ago, and we did the Ducati factory tour, which was like I like kid in a candy store, like just nerding out over like the tech and stuff. But even for like every year I get to go to the Lexus SMEG meeting, which is compared to like going to Germany, it's a little bit more low key. But even just being around people who work at Lexus and with Lexus, and then speaking about Lexus, to me that's better than a vacation because like it's just like right up my alley. So what was like a memorable experience you had? Obviously the track in Germany would have been amazing, but even with those other brands, like what was South Africa like? What was it like with BMW?
South Africa was a reward trip.
Okay.
So we went to Cape Town, got to experience all of Cape Town. Actually, I had a chance to go swimming with great whites.
Oh, cool.
But they canceled it because the water was too rough. So that was a big...
Were you scared about that?
Of course I was.
Oh, yeah. I would be scared
of course I
about
was.
that.
I'd be like, crap my pants. But still, when am I going to do that again?
That's true. Yeah.
So that was pretty cool. And then they also took us on a safari, the little reserve called Kapama.
Okay.
And my wife and I were able to experience that. So that was once in a lifetime trip.
Yeah.
The other side, in terms of like switching from rewards, but also interesting things, is to go to a manufacturer plant.
Yeah.
So when I was in Germany, we went to the AMG manufacturer plant where you can actually see the techs hand building these engines.
Oh, that's cool.
It's not just a figment of your imagination. Like, Mercedes, we hand build our engines on the AMG line, whatever. No, they do.
They're doing it.
They do.
That's cool.
And they have this one gentleman that does all the V12s. He's the only guy that does the AMG V12s.
Wow.
And then he also does engines for Pagani.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So to see him, like, you're walking through and he's like distance.
He's at work that day.
Yeah.
Like you're just walking
like, hey, how's it going? Good. Like, just chill, whatever, just working away, whatever.
That's
that was pretty slick. Pretty slick to see that.
What car has V12 still?
The S 560.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, the Maybach S 560.
That's cool. Oh, the Maybach. Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, that's got to be a number of time before those big engines unfortunately get phased out. So to be able to offer that.
No, we still have one. We have one incoming.
That's cool.
Buy it.
No, but can I?
You can look at it.
Okay. Okay. Can I sit in it? No.
You can sit in it.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
BMW let me sit in some cool stuff the other day too. So I couldn't drive the new M5, but I sat in it. Yeah. That's pretty cool. Yeah. Yeah, definitely on my bucket list. I would, even though I'm a Lexus diehard and everybody knows me like that, I would do that Germany because they have Porsche there, Mercedes, the BMW stuff in that side of Europe. I almost went to where was it? Bucharest? How do you say that? Bucharest?
Yeah, Bucharest, yeah.
There's an airport lounge that is a Lexus, owned by Lexus.
Oh, wow.
So it's a Lexus airport lounge, and it's like very white, some black contrast, and then everything around the lounge, there's like homage to Lexus.
Okay.
So there used to be a restaurant in New York City called Intersect.
Okay. And
then there's one in Japan. They shut down the New York City one, but there's still one in Japan. And the whole restaurant, like to an outsider, you might miss the cues. Yeah. But then as you walk through, the decor and everything is all Lexus. So I was gonna go and film there actually with Bhaskar. We were gonna do a trip down there, but I ended up losing contact with the person that's in charge of Lexus Europe. Right. So timing wise, we couldn't rush it. Yeah. But to your point, like an automotive related trip would just be like so cool.
Yeah, if you want to do that, then you got to go to Stuttgart.
That's got to be it, eh?
Because the museum there for Mercedes is there, and you can. I think it's like 12 kilometers away from that museum is the Porsche Museum. Yeah. So I visited that as well.
Okay.
But that's the place to go.
And what's the racetrack that's there?
That's Singlefin is about an hour and a half away from Stuttgart. Okay. So you can't go there. It's not open to the public, but there's a track there. They have a different type of road courses. So they have like hills, valleys, potholes, cobblestone, all that stuff. And then they have this big open area where they have all their fake cars simulating crash tests. They have like dummies walking across. They have these fake motorcycles just to like do all the safety stuff like that. So it was a pretty cool thing.
Okay, so I did just think of a controversial question to ask you. Okay,
yeah.
So you've been with BMW, you've been with Mercedes.
Yeah.
These are two sibling rivalries. Like those two brands have been against each other for a long time.
Yeah.
they both do things great, I'm sure, in different areas.
Yeah.
What are those areas that really differentiate the two, do you think? Like, we'll start with Mercedes.
You're really putting me on the
I
spot.
know.
Really
This is wild.
So when you look at the two different brands, you have luxury, sport luxury. That's the way I look at it.
Interesting.
If I'm going to buy a track car, I'm buying an M3.
Okay.
100%.
Yeah.
AMG, phenomenal job.
Yeah.
But the AMG versions, like when you're looking at C43 AMG, doing a comparison, C63 AMG comparison to an M3, the C has best of both worlds. Ultimate in luxury, ultimate in power.
Yeah.
But they still drive a little different. But if you want to drive a track car when you're hanging on for dear life, the M is the car to go.
Interesting.
And that DNA is fluid throughout all BMW.
Yeah.
Like sports oriented. A little bit of luxury, but we're all about sport driving. Whereas Mercedes is on the opposite side, more luxury, and then you have your sprinkle of sport.
Yeah.
To explain it.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's the way I've come to feel it.
That was well said. Yeah, I didn't know how I would have said that or viewed the two brands because my experience is limited. Yeah. I've done some comparisons with the Mercedes and the BMW versus the Lexus product. Yep. And I did notice with some of the new BMW stuff, like I did the new X3. Yes. And it was like the fully loaded one. Inside is like, I hate when people say spaceship. Yeah. It was a spaceship. Like it was crazy. Everything's digital, lights. Right. Lots of gadgetry. And then I did, I think the GLC from you. And I can't remember if it was before or after the redesign, but it reminded me of like old money. Like it was like really classy wood grain, really nice appointments, not anything too crazy, not too many buttons, not too many screens. It reminded me more of what Lexus stands for, which is, that craftsmanship aspect of the experience. Yeah. Now, where does Lexus fall in this lineup, do you think? Because your experience with Lexus would have been the least amount, right? Because you were 100%. You were more on the Toyota side, but you drove some of the products and you got a chance to see it.
That's sort of a pointed question as well. But driving, feeling, touching the Lexus product, the quality is there. Yeah, dependability is there, 100%. I haven't been around the new stuff, like the new RX. I haven't been around the interior of that, but I felt. There's a lot of buttons, and a lot of tech, but it's a well-made car. Like I said, dependability is there. So depending on where you want to be in terms of price point, like if you're looking for a luxury but dependable, low cost of ownership, all that stuff bundled into one, Lexus would be a pick. Yeah, be close to Acura because I did Acura for a little while as well. But you get a little bit, you're exposed to a little bit more of a product line when you look at Lexus versus Acura. But Acura makes a very good car as well.
Yeah. And that's a brand that's in an interesting spot. And speaking of news, that Honda-Nissan merger, did you see that?
Yeah, I've heard rumors about it. I haven't been following it much.
Yeah, so apparently the two brands are merging. I don't know what that means because it could mean that maybe they're just manufacturing both or I don't think one's absorbing the other. I think they're both going to stay there. Yeah, makes sense. But Acura, same thing. Like you're right. They make a great product. They've got that new Integra. They got some new EVs as well. Yeah, I don't think they're going after big numbers. They're not going after Mercedes. They're not going after BMW. They're not even going after Lexus per se. They're their own thing, kind of like the Genesis Infinity of the world and
they've been like that for a while.
Yeah, I think so. But still a great product to your point.
Good,
Yeah, that's interesting. And then, like for your experience with all the brands, so your track car would be the M3. Yeah. Through Mercedes, what would be your pick? It would be the
for like an everyday or
everyday
like
car.
Top pick. For my lifestyle, and if I could get it,
Sprinter van.
No, it'd probably be a GLS 63. Okay, that'd be 100%. That's because it gives me the flexibility with my family. Yeah. And like down the road, grandkids, like taking kids around. But if I want to have a car that I can track, surprisingly enough, the GLS 63 is something to be had on the track.
Did you see the new GX we have? Did you see that? You came in the other door. So the new GX is like this off-road squared off beast. Like they redesigned it. Yeah. And it kind of reminds me of like the Defender. I don't know if you ever spent much time with Land Rover.
No.
But this is a car, like just driving it, like Lexus usually is like this soft cushion ride. I always say like it's a little people can say it's numb because like you
Yeah.
don't feel the road like you do in an M3, for instance. But this GX is like totally different. It's like you feel, it's like you're in a body on frame truck.
Yeah.
Probably competes with the G-Wagon. I'm not too sure if price point, they're probably so different that they don't, but the same vibe type thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's like, it's interesting that the GX has gone that way.
Yeah.
Because when I was working with you, like the GX was more focused on the luxury.
Yeah.
But still had like the 4Runner sort of feel to it. But it was definitely driving a 4Runner versus a GX, night and day difference.
Yeah.
And then you had the V8,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So,
And now it's a twin turbo 6.
yeah.
But I think it was because what they learned was the enthusiasts would buy the GX.
Yeah.
And then after 5-10 years, they would do these modifications to make it like this off-road vehicle.
Yeah.
And Lexus is like, you know what? Let's just do that.
Yeah.
We'll just change it up and do that now.
Yeah.
So that's been interesting to see. But
Yeah.
anyway, cool. Any other questions you wanted to go over, or do you want to wrap things up here? I know it's been a while.
No, we can probably wrap it up.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Good.
Cool. Well, thank you everybody for watching again. Let me know in the comments below what you thought of this podcast style. If you want to see more things coming, I know we have at least one more guest booked for something like this. And if you have any questions for Sean, make sure you put it in the comments. I'm going to get this guy on YouTube soon. He's going to start his own Performance Mercedes-Benz YouTube channel. So we'll definitely be linking that and doing some collaborations when that comes too. I know that's something that the audience has been asking for. And I think it's finally time to have his limelight and put him under the spotlight. So
Great.
Yeah. He's going to do great.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.